Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Fundraising BIDness Talk. This is episode 40 something, 42, I believe. Episode 42. Wow, the year is flying by. Hey, my name is Patrick Cyber. I'm your host and lead auctioneer at G Events, based here in Beaverton, Oregon. It's so nice to be with you, as we are every Wednesday. To talk about the current events and best practices, things that are happening in the fundraising BIDness business. So we're excited to be here. Want to ask our friends as they're tuning in today. Hey, be sure to say hi and tell us where you're tuning in from. Love to see you in the comments or the chat, whatever is your preference. And as always, feel free to ask any questions you may have, whether it's on subject for the show today or not, doesn't matter. Love to entertain your questions. So with that being said, let's dive into today's topic, which is something I've been thinking about. I've shared in the past that, pre-COVID, I, as a benefit auctioneer, had very little interest or concern about the auction platforms that my clients used. It's not something that I was really too concerned about because I didn't really interact with it. I didn't have much to do with it. But as COVID became available and we moved to virtual, and all of a sudden we were putting our events on the internet, and they were out there forever, and they reside out there forever, I got pretty sensitive to what that product looked like. And I also got sensitive to showing that the virtual format would be successful. And I think there's a bunch of factors to making the virtual format successful. But it also drew my attention. What caught my eye was the software platforms that clients were using. And I identified some of them that I really liked and some of them that I wanted to necessarily avoid if we were doing a virtual format. And that's not relative for today's conversation. But the thing that's stuck in my mind is the power of these platforms and how, as benefit auctioneers, we pride ourselves on our ability to consult our clients on their fundraising through their fundraising auction, their benefit auction. And as I learned more about the software programs, I recognized that there was a lot more capability there than I think the majority of our clients were using. And so I started diving back into my event planning background, which I've been doing event production for 30 some odd years now. And I dove back into that mindset, the operations guy in me, to really look at how the overall management of the fundraising benefit events, and also where did the auction platform fit into that? So the question that I posed in the title of today's episode is, when does your auction website go live? And I tend to think that most of the nonprofits out there using their benefit auction software tend to make it live literally when they start selling tickets, possibly. But that is something that they haven't had to do a whole lot of, or been able to do a whole lot of, the last 18 months. Maybe some are using it for sponsorships, but I find for the most part, they're not turning their websites on until they have some items procured and they are previewing their auction, whether it's online, live, silent, doesn't matter. They start previewing some auction items. And that's kind of what I thought I would see. Occasionally, I'd see some up earlier, but what I came to realize is that depending on the software platform you're using, the flexibility that you have, I almost feel like your auction website should be up and operational 24/7, 365 days out of the year. And people look at me like, what? I need to have the auction website up? And I say, yeah, I think you do. And so I wanted to walk through kind of what I envisioned and the reasons that I think it's important to do. So we're going to dive right into it. I'm going to share a screen, and this is we call it a sandbox account, but this is with Octria. You've heard me speak of Octria on multiple occasions. I'm a huge fan at Octria.com, and I think they just have the most robust software for the best price that I have seen, and the cost. I just think it's incredible what Rob and the whole team there have done. So this is a sandbox account. This is a phony event that I created. Not a phony event, but kind of a sample event I created. And I just want to run you through what I have created here and why I think it's important to have your auction website up year round. And let's start right at the top. If we start right at the top with the tabs, I've got home, RSVP, become a sponsor, right? We should be able to sell sponsorships year round, and then donate to the auction, so that people can, we can make our procurement, we can automate our procurement site. And we're gonna talk about this, or our procurement process. We're gonna talk about this some more. Now, this one has a live stream event tab, which is something that we use a lot with Octria. It's one of the great things we love about it. And then contact us, and then just a catalog. But I'm going to roll through here. You can see that I started out with the date, and I created this a few months ago for a display, for a demo, and so I came up with 4/1/22. And now all of a sudden that doesn't seem that far in advance. In fact, I think I'm doing an event that day, and that's their event date. But anyhow, it's pretty funny to me. But the logic here is, or the point I want to draw is that we are today, I think as soon as you have your date, your website should be up and running. And what I mean by that is, why would you spend the money on save the date postcards or save the date invites or any of that type of stuff today in this electronic world? It makes sense to me. As soon as I know my dates, I want to update my auction website, hopefully from the previous year, to let people know and give people the opportunity to come to the website and learn about the auction. The other thing that I would share with you is something that I've done with a couple of the clients, and I think it's really powerful. And that is, if your event is really your signature event, it has a title or a name to your event that is recognizable and folks remember it. I do an event called the Wine and Golf Ball for our friends at the First Tee and the children's course, or the Campbell course, I should say. And their signature event is called the Wine and Golf Ball. And for years, they would promote their auction website under the platform of the software provider, and it would be this long ggo.bid./ children's course, whatever it was, right? It was forever, but people knew it as the Wine and Golf Ball, right? And so I just went out one day and bought the website, bought the URL, wineandgolfball.com. And so now every year we use wineandgolfball.com, and we redirect that URL to their auction website, whether it's the year before or the year after or whatever. We direct that URL. And so that way we have one URL we're always using to promote that event. We don't have to rely on that unique URL that comes from your auction software platform. So just something to think about there. Make it simple for yourself. Buy your name of your event's URL, and then direct it to your website. So I find that's real handy. So first thing we do, we got the date. We know we want to tell them that, I jokingly, the fundraising gala to end all galas, right? And the first thing I do is I have a little descriptive paragraph here, And it's each year our nonprofit organization has a magical fundraising gala to generate dollars to allow our staff and volunteers to provide supplies and services to the most underprivileged in our community. And that's cool, right? And then I say it's always a great party. So, you want to use some language to get people to, hey, I want to be a part of the great party, right? And then it says, just take a look at the pictures from last year. It's never too early to start thinking about our next event. So mark your calendars for April 1 of 2022. Take a look for information on showcasing your business as a sponsor or providing an item to be used in the auction. Of course, you can always make a financial gift to us today, right? And so that kind of summarizes what I have available, right? I made a little nice photo carousel here, and I just grabbed some stock images, but this could be photos from previous year's events. And I think people always enjoy seeing pictures and memories, and they see how folks are fired up about the party from last year, right? So, hey, as you're joining, folks, please feel free, dive in there and drop your name and where you're coming in from today. I'd love to say hello back. And also feel free to ask any questions. If you have any questions that come up during the show, whether it's on point with what we're talking about at the time or not, don't hesitate, drop us a line and we would be happy to answer those questions. So now that we've got our really driving home, we've got pictures from previous years, everybody's having a good time. Hey, this is great. I want to be a part of that, right? And so the first thing we do is we thank our sponsors. And the reason we do is because early on in the process, we're trying to secure sponsors. And if we can thank them, that's a great way for us to tell potential sponsors that we appreciate their support. And so we start promoting them right away as soon as the sale is made, or as soon as the purchase is made of the sponsorship. And so it also gives us another thing to share with our sponsors that, hey, we ran your logo on our website for 10 months, 11 months, 8 months, whatever it is. It's so much more valuable than that little catalog, auction catalog program, ad that they got at the old gathering event where, 250 people saw their ad, maybe, right? And it was for one night, and most of them were left on the table or made it to the waste box after. Now you're putting their logo on this website, and it's up there for the activity, and you're constantly driving people to this website, right? This becomes your central information. People can always go to it. They remember the URL. They can come to it, and they can learn about your event, what's coming up, and what's happening. And then once you thank your sponsors, and the nice thing about Octria, for those who don't know, is this is all automated. So once it's somebody buys a sponsorship and they upload their logo, it'll automatically populate it here for you. So we give them a couple of options to get involved right from the get-go. And first one is to become a sponsor today, and the second one is donate an auction item today, right? And so the first thing we do is let's check it out. Let's just see what happens. Become a sponsor today. And now here are all of our sponsorship opportunities for people to get involved and support our organization. There's a title sponsorship, and here are all the benefits and how you can do it. And one of the things that I really love about this format is I love to put the quantity remaining, right? And that's the inventory. It's an automated deal. When I build that item in the software, it asks me how many of them I have, and I'll play around with that inventory number, right? In this case, there's only one title sponsor. And so I think that creates some urgency in your potential client prospect or your potential donor sponsor, that they say, hey, there's only one left. Somebody's going to buy this, right? And then we keep going down, and here's the next one, technology sponsor. And this one, we only had one, and we've already sold it, okay? So what's cool about that is instead of having a generic icon here, I replaced it with the person's organization who bought it, their logo, right? And I think that's important, because if I'm a company owner or a small business that's looking to support your nonprofit's auction, then when I come to this and I see somebody else's logo and I see sold out, Those all create urgency. I'm also appealing to my competitive side, right? So if let's say I'm a real estate firm and this happened to be a real estate firm, my competitor, well, then I'm going to say, hey, I want to be involved in this event. I need to get my logo out there. I need to get my company's name out here. So then we go down to partner sponsorship. You notice I started with the highest price sponsorship at the top, and that works out great, especially after we sell it, because then we've got that logo and people say, wow, somebody already gave us this amount of money. Well, that's cool. And then we drop all the way down to the lower levels. And then I think our base level here was just a VIP table, because here's another thing, right? You could sell tickets to your event through this also. And so as soon as those tables become available, you want to sell them, right? Make them available. It also, if we have seating or admissions, if it's a gathering event, if we have them as a part of a sponsorship, then it gives it more value, right? Because you can see that people could buy a table for $2,000. Then maybe up here, when I see that table and I see all these benefits, I'm thinking, wow, then really it's about $3,000 more to be a really big deal at this event. There's only one of them. And so I need to do that, right? So, and the beauty is for your committee, and one of the things, my buddy Lori at Octria always says, is the giving window is open 24/7, 365 days out of the year. This is great, and I love selling this way, making this available. I am not by any stretch saying this is the only way you should sell, is that you just distribute your URL or your QR code to all your potential sponsors and ask them to buy. Okay, I don't know that you'll have 100% success there. But what I do like is that when you have communicated with somebody or a member of your committee, right? A lot of times we have a committee involved in a fundraising auction event, and they go out and they try to solicit people, or maybe they run into people socially. By being able to give them the URL, then, or send an email, people can go when they want and they can see exactly what they get. Selfishly, as an organizer, the other thing I like about this is that what people do get is in plain black and white. It is spelled out right in front of here. So I don't have to worry about a committee member promise something that we couldn't deliver on, or promise something outside of the package and then finding out later. If we drive our traffic to the site to purchase the sponsorship, then I think that we have less potential for challenges in the future. So definitely do that. But people can make the purchase right here. They can just add it to the cart and check out. These items are all set for immediate payment. Okay. Now, if you had somebody that you wanted to sell a sponsorship to, and they asked to be billed, in 30 days, or sometimes when, like this time of year is a perfect example, we're working on spring events, and maybe a potential corporate sponsor tells you, hey, I really want to pay for this with 2022 funds. It's a 2022 event. Can you put me down for this sponsorship but not bill me until after the new year? Yes. Yeah, we can do that, because we just do it on the back end. We'll go in through the dashboard. We'll sell it to them, show that we haven't collected payment, and then we can invoice them after the first of the year, and they can make payment that way right online, right? Very simple, especially for a lot of nonprofits who have, maybe they have a PO box. It doesn't get checked all the time, right? It's a small group, a booster club, or a school event, or could be a, grassroots kind of nonprofit that doesn't have an office space and a physical address, right? So that works really well to be able to have people pay right online. And yeah, I guess you're probably giving up 3%, but at the end of the day, um, if you got the sale that you wouldn't have gotten because it was available and they could pay easily with their credit card, or you weren't waiting for their check, all those things, I think it's probably worth it. So this is a really slick way for people to buy that sponsorship. And once they do it, it is they go ahead and enter it right away. and away we go. Now, the other thing is, and I'm a huge fan of this, I've really started promoting this to all of my event clients, that um, they make it available for people to support their organization by donating an auction item. What I love about this feature, I think that procurement has become, whether it's, you know, more challenging, or it is for different reasons since COVID started. I think that there are a lot of reasons that procurement has become more challenging. One, we may not have volunteers that are willing to, pound the pavement and knock on doors and ask businesses to support them because the volunteer doesn't feel comfortable, or the businesses are working outside their office, or they don't allow people in their office. There's all sorts of reasons, or restaurants, or whatever it is. There's an incredible number of reasons that maybe um, procurement has become more challenging. But what I do find is that when you give that business owner, um, uh, whether it's a letter that you go and you hand deliver, right, kind of the old-fashioned way, and maybe all it needs to have on it is a QR code, which is always cool about, one of the things I love about Octria, again, is that it's going to give you a QR code for your website, and you could put that on any printed materials that you print out there, and it would, people are embracing the QR code concept today. I think many of us had to learn how to use the QR code and our camera on our phone to order meals at restaurants when they went to online menus and restaurants, things of that nature. So QR codes have made a big resurgence, and I'm finding them really powerful for our clients with promoting their events. But regardless, what happens here is that the person can come and they can make a donation to the auction. And when they do, there is a simple form that they fill out, right? Give the title of the item, they give a description, if there are any special terms or conditions. They're donating their beach house. They give you, they don't want you going on holidays or whatever it might be. Excuse me, maybe it's a round of golf at the country club, but it needs to happen, Monday through Thursday. Uh, it's not available on the weekends. Whatever, must play with a member. Whatever those elements might be, terms and conditions would go right there. The value, and this is crucial, right? Because folks are the donor is responsible for providing you with the fair market value of their donation, right? So this is always confusing. I have it on good authority from a very reputable philanthropy attorney and accountant type that we need to have the donor determines the value, and so they type in their value of what the value of their donation. How many are they willing to give you, right? Are they just giving you one, or are they giving you multiple? Um, of that item, right? Maybe it's multiple gift cards to a restaurant, maybe it's, to a retail outlet, whatever it might be. And then here's a really cool feature that I love this in Octria, and I assume the other platforms have it also, but this is the solicitor. Uh, and people look at me like, well, what is that? And I said, well, that could be your committee member who secured the gift, right? So a lot of times we're in our volunteer organizations, we're working with a committee, and the committee goes in or contacts a business, and the business says, yeah, we'll give you a $50 gift card, or we'll give you, whatever it is. Okay. Well, when someone gives it to you, you want to input it right away, right? And you don't want to rely, if that business owner gives you a gift certificate for their restaurant or their whatever, you don't want to tell them, hey, that's great, can you go in and input it for me now? So the solicitor, the person, the committee member who got that item, can come in and type it in. And when they type it in, they put their name in the solicitor. So Jane got the $50 gift certificate to the Great Italian Restaurant. And so she fills in who the donor is, the value, all those different things. And then she puts her name on there. Now, as the organizer, why is that important for you? Because next year, you want to make sure that you get that same gift card again. And so you might look at that item, you see that the solicitor was Jane, and you say, "Hey, Jane, can you go back and talk to that Italian restaurant? That was a really popular item, and you did a great job of getting that." So having that solicitor is always important. I see it also with things like donations of vacation homes. It may come from somebody outside of, let's say, a school community or church community, that someone in the committee knew. And if you don't remember who knew that special person who donated their beach house or their mountain cabin or whatever it might have been, then you can't really go back to them the next year, right? So because you don't know who it was or who had that relationship to maximize the opportunity to get it. So I think it's fantastic to put that solicitor, use that field, and tell your volunteers, hey, there's no reason if you get somebody that donates something, go in and fill the form out for them. That's fantastic. So I'm just going to type one in. I'm just going to call it something special. And then the next thing it'll do, it'll allow me to continue to item images, which I think is really cool because you can actually, you can upload images of the package, right? So if someone has pictures of their beach house, if they have a picture of that special barbecue they're donating, whatever it is, all they have to do is they can upload those, and now you've got pictures for your catalog, right? And so I think that's a really cool feature in this software that Octria does. And then the last one is, who's the donor, right? How many times do we question as a committee who donated that to us, right? We know it's a beach house, but who gave that to us, right? So we want to put their name in here right away, and so I'm gonna put in my I'm just gonna put I don't know, I'm gonna put in Missy Generous, okay, and so that's kind of cool. And then if she's got a company, we would put her company name, the email, we'll call it Missy at 123.com. And we could put all of her information, website, which is handy because that website could be tied to her logo that you put on the sponsor thank yous, and then people could actually get another tab opened up to that, right? So then we just submit donation, and away we go. Now, and that's how easy it is for your donor, for the person who's making a donation to your organization. Now, they could donate another item, right? All you do. So if they get that committee member and you want to continue to add items, all they have to do is click on donate another item, right? So that's pretty cool stuff. Now, let me share with you, let's go back to the home page here. I'm going to also share with you, let's see here if I can, view tab. I want to stop sharing that one, and I'm going to share a different one, and I'm going to show you what it looks like on the back end, what it looks like on the back end when somebody makes that donation. And what we do is we go into items, right? And looky here, speak of the devil, here she is, and she is definitely not the devil. She's one of my favorite people in the world, Lori Hockman, tuning in with Octria herself, live and in person. What does she say here? One of my favorite elements, the donation door is always open. For my local auction I helped with, we got over a dozen items donated this way in October and November. So a dozen items, Lori, that's fantastic. That's for the Sharks, as I recall, the Sharks. So that's a really cool deal, and that speaks volumes, right? And so then when people make that donation, if you go into your items tab in Octria, you go down and it says review solicited items, and bingo, there's my item, something special from Missy Generous. It's right there. And let me, I didn't share that with you. I got so excited that my buddy Lori was on the program with us that I forgot to go to it. So let me go back and do that again. What I did was I just went to the items tab, and then under items, I slid down here to review solicited items, and boom, there it is. Now, I also would have got an email as the event organizer. Octria's software would send me an email telling me that that I had received a generous donation. But here it is, something special from Missy Generous, and I can go in and I can review the item, check it out, see what all it is, and I can make a decision. I can accept it, or I can delete it and say I don't want it. But what is awesome, cool, and if you're an organizer, you know how incredibly powerful this is. Okay, when I accept this item, Octria will automatically send a donation acknowledgement to Missy Generous here. In this case, letting her know that the organization thanks her for her donation, and here is a donation acknowledgement is the proper term. And they have everything they need, and they've received a personalized thank you from the organization. And I don't know about you out there, but as I visit with my many clients throughout the year, it always appears to happen at committee meetings. At some point, somebody would say, "Has anybody sent thank yous, or what are we doing for thank yous?" And a lot of times, it's one of those things that happens, later than it should. Maybe it doesn't happen at all. It's not as personal as it should be. And I tell you what, people who donate to your organization, when they get that timely response and says, "Hey, thanks for the donation. We really appreciate your support," and you can customize the language in this platform, in particular in Octria, you have an opportunity to really make an impact on that person. So I can't express it enough. I'm going to say I click on it, and I'm going to just include accepted, and I am accept selected items, and away it goes. And I just put send receipts on acceptance, and it will send the receipt right away, and away we go. And then I'm going to accept it, and I'm going to show you now. At this point, you can determine the type of item it is. Now, a lot of times, folks, one of my recommendations to people is that you make these what in Octria we call partial items, right? So maybe it is a gift card to a restaurant, and it's not something that you're going to sell standalone on your online auction, that maybe you're going to bundle it in a basket with some other items to make one package, right? Maybe it's a group of gift cards from the local area. Maybe it's a camping tent, and you're going to build a package of camping stuff, and whatever it is, I make them partial, and then that way I can go back in later and I can combine all my partial items into baskets or into packages that I can sell. So a lot of times I recommend right from the get-go, start making them partials. You could determine that you wanted to make this in the travel category, whatever category you want. You can do all that right here, and then boom, it happens. Okay. And away it goes. And if I go back to my items board, then it will be there, and I can see it right there, something special. Okay, and it is good to go. And so now I've already sent Missy a thank you, and it's just made life a lot easier. So and then going back to the website, I mentioned a minute ago, one of the I love about Octria is they make it so simple. Here's the QR code. All I do is right click on it. I copy the image. I can send that out. I can put it on posters. I can do whatever I do with it, right? But when I go back to my website, going back to what we started with here today, I'm going to stop sharing that one, and I'm going to share the one I want, and we're back at the website. And what I love about it is that this is a great way. Start this on your website. Get your auction website up as soon as you know your dates, and use it year round. And so when you hear me say use it year round, as soon as you get your dates, sometimes there might be a lag between when you finish the last year and you start the next year. In that case, put the replay of your virtual event, or put a thank you page up. Do something, start showing photos, right? but have a reason for people when they think about your event and they go to it, that they can see something 12 months out of the year. And then I always also put a cash donation option in here, right? So when I'm sending out those solicitations and making people aware of our event, uh, 6 months, 8 months, 9 months, 10 months out in advance, and we're asking them to support us with whether it's a letter or an email or it's a personal contact, whatever it is, when we send them to the website, let's give them the option. They can become a sponsor. They could buy a ticket, right? They can also donate an auction item, or they can just make a cash donation. Um, Folks, if you're not using your website on a year-round basis, I think you're really missing the boat. I think in this new world that we're in, that we need to be open 24/7, as my buddy Lori at Octria tells us. We need to be open 24/7, 365, and let's maximize the opportunity, right? Because we might have an event date in mind, but our supporters, they just know the cause and they know the event, and I think this is a great way to use your website on a year-round basis. So that's all that I had for today. If there's any questions, fire them up, drop them in the box. Be happy to answer them. Otherwise, I'm going to remind you that Fundraising BIDness Talk is every Wednesday at noon Pacific Standard Time that we are now. If you missed today's episode or want to see some of the previous episodes because you like this one so much, you can always go to fundraisingbidnesstalk.com, and all 42 episodes are right there. And lastly, if you think there's an opportunity that maybe myself can help you out with your event, or you'd like to bounce some ideas off of me, please go to geventsllc.com. On there, you'll find a link to my calendar, and you can schedule a 30-minute or an hour free consultation visit. It'll send you a Zoom link immediately. You'll see my calendar on there. Pick a time that works for you, and I will be happy to chat with you about whatever you got on your mind and seeing how we can happen. Folks, always remember, hey, it's not where you start the bidding, it's where you finish. Great to see you today. Thanks so much for tuning in. Have a great day, everybody. Bid high and bid often.